Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and I'm really excited about this because today we get a new track from Bloodywood. Now they actually contacted me a couple of weeks ago and asked me if I would like to do a reaction to their new upcoming song, which as you can imagine, I immediately jumped on it and said, yeah, absolutely, definitely. You know, I want to check this out. Everything I've looked at from this band so far, I've absolutely loved. There's always been a strong, powerful message behind all of their music. And, you know, they do a lot for charity and things like that. And, you know, I really admire this band. And I'm very much looking forward to when their new album comes out, which, incidentally, comes out 2 days before my birthday next year. Comes out February 18th, 2022. The name of the album is Rakshak. If I can find some, I'll put links below to where you can pre-order that if anybody is interested. Now, today, we're going to be looking at a new track. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this properly, but the track is called Gadar. Gaddaar. I don't actually know what that translates to, but I'm sure we'll find out. Now, there were no lyrics supplied for this track, but as with all previous Bloodywood tracks, it is subtitled with the lyrics. So what I did is I actually watched the video on mute and typed out all the lyrics. So I've got the lyrics here to read through and discuss after the video. So I've not actually heard the song. I've seen the video, but I've not heard the song because I played it on mute. So yeah, I'm very excited for this. You know, like I said, I love their music. I'm very excited for the new album. So without any further ado, I think we'll just jump straight into this and see what we've got. So this is Gadar by Bloodywood. Let's have a look.
ये मुसलमान का खून, ये हिंदू का खून। बता, मुसलमान का कौन सा, हिंदू का कौन सा? बता, साले बताने वाले ने फर्क नहीं किया, तू कौन आता फर्क करने वाला? Turning to fate, turning to hate, turning to votes, turning to notes. Like a kind of black money with the antidote. Best kind of bloody, yeah, we're bringing the hope. You gotta walk the rope, up on your block, provoked. And what you're not sure you wanna, gotta block the boat. Where you at? I don't need no gun. I bring the fire and the fury of the third one, son. Transforming once again. Transforming again. What don't get from me? I'm controlling the time again. Turn on my life. And what you're not sure you wanna go and rock the boat. Nigga, I got that. Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop, never will I say. Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop, never will I. Nigga, I got that.
Clap the crap, they call them governance. More than a rap man, we're reforming governments. Full on attack man, get with the plan. We're here to pull apart the politicians and the God plan. Yeah, we're saying but we're saying nothing new. We're just saying you better do the shit you say you're gonna do. None of that fake shit, WWE. Cause you know we keep it real like the UFC.
Shativan, भ्रष्टाचार के तले पर चले सरकार। इसी बात का तो लगी है कि लेकिन होना चाहिए हमको है तो
मजा आया Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop, never will I say. Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop, never will I. The big gang, make a big bang. Got me real wild like a Mustang. Untamed, need to play in the game. Burn it down and build it up and never do this shit the same. Time for a man, once again. Time for the jam. I'm making it on me. I'm controlling the time again. Time of my life.
Nice.
Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop, never will I say. Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop, never will I. Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop, never will I say. Never will I stop, never will I say die. I said never will I stop.
There you go. Gadar by Bloodywood, and that was heavy. I mean, we've heard heavy tracks from them before, but that was pretty damn heavy. They had a couple of silly moments in there, like they had those sort of meme go faster lines that they use in a lot of racing memes and stuff like that, and they had Indian singing intensifies in subtitles at the bottom, which I thought that was just fabulous. That was just so funny, so they're still having a bit of fun with it, but they are talking about a very serious matter, and they even said right at the beginning this is a very politically based song, but they're not leaning either way. They're not talking about any specific one party, whatever. They're just talking about governments and politicians in general. They're trying to stay as neutral as humanly possible, and they do mention quite a few things that are very, very important subjects. And I don't know how politics and things are over in India or whatever, but all over the world, politicians, governments, they're corrupt. They say they'll do one thing and do something completely different, and this song sort of talks about that sort of thing. So it seems to be not a big departure, because then before you had, I can't remember the name of the song, Machi Basad, is it? Something to do with riots and stuff like that. I've probably pronounced that horribly as well, but so they've covered possibly similar subjects in the past, but this one is pretty upright and in your face about it. And the track was insanely heavy. There was that awesome drop right towards the end, that was proper heavy, slow chugging. It sounded amazing. The music to this was fantastic. The vocal performance, again, fantastic. I love this band, and every song they put out is just amazing. I absolutely love it. Now, like I said, this is a very heavily political song. But so we'll have a look at the lyrics. Like, they were subtitled throughout the song, but we'll have a look at the lyrics anyway. And it says, I greet you in Urdu, I greet you in Hindi. I used to seek battle cry and value the compassion of Christ. I do this in plain view. I do this before all. adamant about walking hand in hand with them all. The dividers lie at every opportunity, an age-old strategy that has repeatedly let the people down, left the youth powerless. Wow, what a scene. So, he's saying, I'll greet you in Urdu, I'll greet you in Hindi, I'll use the Sikh battle cry, but I also value everybody else's opinion. I value the compassion of Christ. That might not be my religion, but, you can go ahead with that. I hold nothing against you for that. I do this in plain view of everybody. I do this for all to see. I'm not going to hide behind this. I'm not going to secretly be friends with someone who's a Christian, but in public I'm going to go, oh, no, that's not for me. People who do that are horrible and wrong. He's saying, I don't care what you believe in. I don't care what language it is. I welcome you with open arms. You are my friend. And I'm not going to hide from that. I'm going to do this in front of everybody. I'm going to show that I care about anybody and everybody that crosses my path. I'm going to be kind to everybody. And he says, adamant about walking hand in hand with them all. He's determined to be friendly with that person. If that person doesn't want to be friends with him, that's their problem. But he's going to do his utmost to be nice to everybody that crosses his path, make them feel welcome, not make them feel ostracized or cast aside. And it says there, the dividers lie at every opportunity, an age-old strategy that has repeatedly let the people down. And this is a tactic of politicians. You've got one side saying one thing and another side saying another thing. You've got, and something that's very common at the moment is fear-mongering. Like certain political groups that are taking something that's perfectly innocent, perfectly fine, and somehow managing to twist it and making it seem like something really bad and something you should be afraid of. Trying to make something that's for the betterment of the people into something evil. And this is a tactic that's going on all the time. And the thing is, you will get these people that will believe this absolute rubbish. You'll get these people that are so brainwashed by these corrupt politicians that they will hang on every word and believe every word, and they will argue until they are blue in the face that they are right, even if you do provide them with irrefutable evidence to the contrary. And it says, left the youth powerless. Wow, what a scene. And this is the thing as well, the decisions we make now affect future generations. Like all these people that are, say, for example, voting for the Tory party over in the UK, they are an absolute hopeless bunch of people who aren't interested in actually helping the common folk. They're just interested in making themselves richer. And all these, to use the common parlance these days, these boomers who are like voting for these Tory members because they think that what they're doing makes sense, they're actually making things harder for the younger generation. People, the older generation these days are saying, by the time I was your age, I had a house, I had a job, I had a family. But if you look at the way things are at the moment, the cost of living versus the wage you get paid, there's such a massive discrepancy between the two that, nobody can actually afford to buy a house anymore unless they are working like 70 to 90 hours a week. They have to be working 3 different jobs, have no spare time, in order to just afford a house. Over in America, people are refusing to go back to work because they are actually better off on unemployment than they were at their job, where they were getting paid an absolute pittance. They were barely managing to afford maybe like their rent, let alone things like utilities and food and things like that. What the decisions we make now are going to affect future generations, which is what they were saying there. Anyway, I went on a bit of a rant there. Anyway, it goes. As the politicians made millions, I see a state turning to faith, faith turning into hate, hate turn into votes, votes turn into notes, black a kind of black money. So again, as the politicians made millions, like I said before about the Tories in the UK, you know, you've got that bloviating buffoon Boris Johnson promising that he will put like something like 13 billion into the NHS every year. But who's paying for that? You know, you've got the rich one percenters like Boris Johnson and all of his cronies who own like 3 holiday homes. They earn several million a year, but they don't pay any tax. The people that are getting taxed are people like me, you know, people who barely earn like 10 grand a year, if that, you know, people that are like just barely clawing their way through life, who can barely just afford food, amenities, you know, people who can just barely afford to live are the people getting taxed to pay for something that these millionaires could easily afford, and they wouldn't even notice the dent in their funds. Yet we're sitting there clawing by, you know, they're sitting there on their little mountains of gold up in their ivory towers looking down on us, laughing at us, whilst they're like eating beluga caviar and what have you, and we're sitting there eating like Asda's cheapest tin of beans, which are like 5p a can, and we can't even heat the damn stuff up because we're paying so much in taxes that we can barely survive. You know, he's saying, you know, I see faith turn to hate, hate turn into votes, and votes turn into notes, black a kind of black money. And again, this is where the politicians come in, you know, twisting our worldview in order to try and make us scared of what is happening so they'll get your vote. You know, they're trying to make us hate other people, you know, and this is something that's very, very prevalent over in America at the moment. You know, you've got, they have this two-party system, and one party despises and hates the other so much they're willing to spread so much misinformation and lies to make the other one look bad. And, you know, again, if you provide evidence proving to the contrary, they will still argue until they're blue in the face that they're right, even if you can prove them wrong. You know, people just end up getting sucked in so badly. Anyway, it carries on. We're the antidote, best kind of bloody. Yeah, we're bringing the hope. You gotta walk the rope, up on your block, provoked. I'm what you're not, show you what I got. Rock the boat, where you at? I don't need no gun. I bring the fire and the fury of the third world, son. Stuck in their web, we struggle for sanity. Trapped in an illusion of a better tomorrow. We were used and then brushed away like dirt. And I really like that line. You know, we were used and then brushed away like dirt. You know, we're stuck in the web struggling for sanity. So we're all tangled up in these politicians' lies. You know, we're the people caught in the middle. We're the people suffering. You know, they tell us that, you know, they're going to do things to better the country, but they don't. You know, trapped in an illusion of a better tomorrow. You know, they constantly tell us, oh, we're going to do this to make things better. We're going to do this to make things better, but it never happens. And they use us as an example. But then we're sort of, when it comes to us actually needing help, we're sort of cast aside like, you know, like we're nothing to them. We're cast aside like dirt. You know, we're no better than the scrapings off the bottom of their shoes. Because as long as they're making more money off of us, they don't care. They don't care about the common folk. And then it goes back, you got to walk the rope, up on your block provoked. I'm what you're not, show you what I got, rock the boat. Take a bow, traitor, take a bow. Take a bow, traitor, take a bow, traitor, take a bow. Now get the out. Now, like I say, I've covered a few Bloodywood tracks, but I think this is the first time I've ever seen them drop an F-bomb in one of their songs. I could be wrong on that, but, you know, I've seen them use words like crap, and I think maybe or something like that, but I've never seen them drop an F-bomb. And that took me quite by surprise. But, you know, he's like, take a bow, traitor. You know, it's like, well done. Good job. Look what you've done. Take a bow. Now, off. You know, we don't want you here. You're doing nothing but up our country. Go away. Never will I stop, never will I say die, never will I stop, never will I say. Never will I stop, never will I say die, never will I stop, never will I. Get the out, traitor. And I like this opening line. Slow clap for the crap they call in governance. More than a rap man, we're reforming governments. Full-blown attack, man, get with the plan. We're here to pull apart the politicians and the God clan. Yeah. We're slaying, but we're saying nothing new. We're just saying you better do the you said you were gonna do. None of that fake WWE, because you know we keep it real like the UFC. So, again, slow clap for the crap they're calling governance. So it's like, yep. Well done. Look what you have done. You know. And he said, full-blown attack. You know, we're going to pull apart these politicians and the God clan. Because, you know, all these politicians, like I said before, they always promise one thing and do complete opposite. But there's also all these politicians who you say, like, God is on my side, Jesus told me to do this. People who pull religion into politics, you know, it doesn't belong there. You know, everybody knows by now I am not a big religious person, so as soon as someone drags religion into something, it just really gets my hackles up. You know, when I used to go to school, we used to have this one teacher who every single time we had like an assembly, he would go, and the Bible says, and my immediate reaction is, oh, for God's sake. Because, you know, we don't need to drag it into anything. And this is one of the major problems with things like that. People use religion as an excuse for everything. You know, God told me to do it. We're doing this in the name of God. We're doing this because this, that, and the other. You know, this is how wars get started and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, we're fighting back. We're going to pull apart the politicians. We're going to pull apart all these people that claim that they've got some divine right to be doing what they're doing. And he's saying, we're just saying, you better do that you said you were going to do. Again, this is going back to like the Tories in the UK. You know, they said they're going to make sure that the NHS stays the way it is, yet secretly in the background they're trying to sell it off to some buffoon in America so that they can now start doing the same rubbish that they're doing in America. You know, people in America are going bankrupt, you know, trying to afford medical bills. There are people that are suffering and dying in America because they can't afford medical bills. You know, people are spending something like 13 grand just to get an ambulance from their home to the hospital. You know, something like 25 grand for an x-ray. You know, it shouldn't have to be like that. You shouldn't have to go into hospital and then get given a massive bill afterwards. You know, it's you shouldn't have to pay to stay alive. You know, you shouldn't have to pay to stay well. You know, but then, you know, the only people that suffer are the poor, right? And then he went on. Then they went on and said something which I found quite funny. He said, "You're going to say what you're going to do. None of that fake WWE, because you know we keep it real like the UFC. Because everybody knows, like WWE wrestling, it's all scripted, it's all fake. You know, none of it's real. But you got UFC. You know, I don't watch that sort of thing. You know, I'm not one for sort of thing. But you know, that stuff's proper brutal. People get, you know, severely injured doing that. So he's like, you know, we don't want any of this pansy acting rubbish. You know, we want the real deal. We want you to actually take action on what you said you're going to do and do it. And he goes, years of empty promises have gone by. Years of empty promises have gone by. In return for my votes, I received betrayal every time. Again, you know, all these governments that, you know, they spout out all this fear, you know, saying, if you don't vote for us, this terrible thing will happen. If you vote for us, we'll do this wonderful thing for you. Yeah, at the end of the day, what is basically is, if you vote for me, I'm going to make more money so I can afford a third holiday home and you can sit and rot in the sewers for all I care. You know, these politicians will say anything to get in power and do absolutely none of it to stay there. Welcome to a country in disarray, where the shield of democracy lies fractured. Classism and corruption, the bows off which our leaders rise to power. The source of our frustration is the filth the filthy nature of their game. It's on us to cleanse it. So hold your ground against their lies. Together we are unbreakable. Again, saying, we've got to be the ones to stand. There's that phrase, I think it's from V for Vendetta. People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid of the people. We're not here to serve the government. The government are here to serve us. They're the ones that are trying to fix the country to make our lives better. We're not there to make their lives better. That's how the way it should be is they should be working hard to make everything better for everybody. We shouldn't be here just to make sure that they can afford their third holiday home and 5 hookers on a weekend. It says, so hold your ground against their lies. Together we are unbreakable. We've got to be a united front and fight against all this lies, this corruption, that sort of thing. Stuck in their web, we struggle for sanity, trapped in an illusion of a better tomorrow. We are used and then brushed away like dirt. Again, I like that line. And then it goes back into that, take a bow, traitor, take a bow, traitor, take a bow, traitor, take a bow. Now get the out. Never will I stop, never will I say die, never will I stop, will I never say. Never will I say. Never will I stop, never will I say die, never will I stop, never will I get the out, traitor. And then some text sort of came up on the screen. And the text says, this video contains heavy commentary on polarization, on religion-based politics, on political accountability. This video contains heavy political commentary. It is aimed at divisive leaders, parties, and political mindsets. In the face of fascism and communalism, we cannot remain politically neutral. So it's basically saying, this video is aimed at all these, political leaders who are trying to divide the country when they should be, trying to unite the people, trying to make everybody come together to work for a better future. We shouldn't be sitting here trying to divide people and, basically split the country in half. Everybody should be working together. We shouldn't be fighting against each other to make the country better. And then it goes, you bought the yin, we bought the big yang. We make a big bang. Got me running wild like a Mustang, untamed. Hate the player and the game, burn it down and build it up, but never do the same. Stuck in their web, we struggle for sanity, trapped in an illusion of a better tomorrow. We were used and then brushed away like dirt. Take a bow, traitor, take a bow, traitor, take a bow, traitor. Now get the out. And then never will I stop, never will I say die, never will I stop, never will I say, never will I stop, never will I say die, never will I stop, never will I get the out, traitor, and then the song ends. So it's a very straightforward message to corrupted politicians and that sort of, those sorts of people, the people that are trying their hardest to divide countries in half. And, these politicians that are trying to cause disarray within the people. And these politicians that are more interested in making themselves and their 1% of friends richer, whilst the poorer people are the ones picking up the tab for it, whilst the common folk are the ones suffering, because they don't care about the common folk. All they care about is making their wallets that little bit thicker. And that's something that really, really needs to change. It's something that really needs to stop. We need to stop electing these people. We need to stop listening to their lies and actually make these people take action on things they said they were going to do. Like, if you're going to, support a medical healthcare system, do that. But don't screw over the people that you claim you're trying to help. All these billionaires and millionaires. You've got, what's his name? Jeff Bezos, is it? Is it Jeff? I can't remember. This guy is spending billions or millions or whatever on missions to Mars. Why don't you concentrate on the planet you live on rather than bothering about a planet that's over the other side of the galaxy that's of no use to anybody whatsoever? It hasn't got a breathable atmosphere. It can't support life. Whereas this planet we're on at the moment, we're struggling, we're suffering, resources are finite, there's only so much that can be done. So why don't you do something, why don't you put your money towards something useful, like fighting climate change, feeding the hungry, etc. Why don't you put your money towards something useful like that rather than fanning about on a completely different planet? You can afford to do that, but you won't pay taxes. Taxes that will barely even scratch the surface of what you make in 5 minutes. You know, these people are so rich that if they dropped a $100 bill on the ground, in the time it took for them to bend down and pick it up, they will lose more money in picking that up than they will have if they just left it there on the floor for someone else. You know, yet these people refuse to pay taxes. What is so hard for these people? You know, they want to feel superior to everybody else and make all us common folk pay for it. This is how these people got rich, is by taking advantage of everybody beneath them. And it's disgusting. And this is what politicians do. And it needs to stop. You know, they're not trying to help anybody except themselves. And, you know, again, Bloodywood have done it. You know, they've knocked it out of the park with another very powerful and very important message. You know, we shouldn't let these people push us around. We shouldn't let these people take advantage of us. You know, these governments have got to answer for what they are doing. They've got to actually start doing what they said they are going to do. And if not, they should be taken to task. So, yeah, a bit of a sore subject for me going there, apparently. You know, I went on a major rant, but it's an important message, you know. And this is what is so great about this band. You know, they do these sorts of things. You know, they put out these messages and, you know, talk about these subjects in such a way. You know, they're not pointing a finger at anybody in particular. You know, they're not singling any one person out. They're just saying, look, this is what's happening. Something needs to be done. You know, whether they're talking about mental illness or depression, you know, they're going, look, this is happening. Something needs to be done. Don't ignore it. Whether it's whether it's corrupted politicians, you know, this sort of thing is happening. Something needs to be done. You know, they're not pointing to anyone in particular. You know, and it's a great way of doing it, because, you know, these subjects need to be spoken about. And, you know, I always find it funny, you know, when I heard this a lot whilst a certain somebody was in office in the United States. You know, all these bands, musicians and actors were, you know, speaking up against certain corrupt practices that were happening. And all these pea-brains were sitting there going, you know, you're a musician or you're an actor, you know, stay out of politics. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of your previous US presidents was in fact an actor. And at the time, your current president was a reality TV star. So why can't people that make music or are actors have their say? You know, people don't think this sort of thing through. You know, these are the people that go along with these corrupted individuals. You know, they don't think logically. They're just following the lies that they're force-fed. And we need to fix this. You know, we don't need the division in the world. You know, there's enough rubbish going on in the world as it is. We don't need to make things worse. We should be working together as a whole unit, as a whole planet. We should be working together for the betterment of life on the planet. You know, we shouldn't be trying to split the world in two. But anyway, I'm going to stop there because I think I've ranted and raved quite enough. But again, you know, a fantastic piece of music, you know, proper heavy. You know, there was that really cool drop towards the end. You know, obviously they had a little bit of a laugh making it as well, you know, with those little meme things in there. There was that cool move by the guitarist, his name escapes me for the moment, you know, where he rolls back. You know, that was pretty cool. Come on, let's face it. You know, so fantastic. Absolutely love it. Brilliant. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to them, please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would of course be a massive help to me, since, you know, every piece of content I create gets immediately demonetized the moment I upload it. And that's a little bit frustrating, but you know, it is what it is. There is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue if you should so desire it. There's a limit on how often you can do that, and that's just to be fair to people who suggest tracks through more regular means such as Facebook, YouTube and Instagram comments. If you do make suggestions through those more regular means, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestions, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes. And one of the main facets of that is hate crimes against people of the alternative community. And it's something I believe in very strongly, and it's something that very frequently sort of gets brushed over. You know, people just sort of ignore it and don't pay it any attention. And that's something that really needs to change, because it's a very real problem that's been going on for decades. And, you know, we're not just talking about people shouting insults or, you know, shoulder ramming someone from the alternative community as they're walking down the street. We're talking about brutal, violent crimes where people are getting hospitalized, sometimes with broken limbs and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries. And, you know, every day we hear about all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear about these on a daily basis, from the most heinous and violent of these crimes down to the most petty and pathetic and childish of these crimes. We hear these in every facet of the news on a daily basis. But as soon as it comes to someone from the alternative community getting violently and brutally assaulted, nothing ever gets said. You know, the last time there was a widespread conversation about this sort of thing was 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally assaulted by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat them so severely, they stamped on their heads so violently that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he thankfully survived the assault. He was in a coma for around about a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer. But Sophie Lancaster was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and was beaten to death just because of her taste in music and clothing. Now, when this happened, this was all over the news, as rightfully it should have been, and over time the story faded into the background, as you'd expect it to. But in the 14 years since that happened, we've not heard a single story like it. You know, nothing has been said since. Yet there have been several hundred, if not several thousand, similar incidents in that time. The only major difference is that no one has died as a result. And that's the key feature there. That people won't speak about this unless someone dies. And that's unacceptable. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before this gets spoken about. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before something gets done. And that's what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to the fact that this is happening. They want more people to talk about this. They want there to be more recognition of the fact that this is a very real problem and deserves as much attention as all of these other hate crimes that get spoken about on a daily basis. Because the more we ignore it, the more it's going to happen, because the people committing these crimes feel that they can get away with it because no one's going to pay any attention to it. And if we carry on ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens again, and we cannot allow that to happen. You know, they don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks because of the small-minded actions of a group of people who couldn't handle the fact that somebody liked something different to them, that not everybody likes the same thing. These violent crimes against people of the alternative community deserve as much attention and as much, you know, they deserve to be spoken about just as much as any other hate crime. But at the moment, they're not getting spoken about, nothing's getting done, they're just getting ignored. And that needs to change. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there's a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a heck of a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously you don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as like one of these Sophie wristbands, maybe even that one, you know, they've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff going on over there. But, you know, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.